Each and every one of us has an unlimited inner wellspring of spiritual power. You have the ability to transform, create, and heal anything upon which you set your heart and mind. Join me, Sarah Hall, as we learn how to uplift all aspects of your life through spiritual empowerment. Enjoy weekly guided meditations, spiritual discussions on a multitude of topics, and a chance to call in to receive channeled messages from the angels on your spiritual journey. I'm Sarah Hall, and this is Through the Eyes of the Angels. Hello, everyone, and welcome. Thank you so much for being here today. It's always so wonderful to be able to connect with you. So today we're going to be going on a spiritual journey into the deep, universal self. And we're going to be doing this. We're going to be traveling using one of the most common, ancient, and widely known vehicles in human history, the story. I was once calling on the angels to ask them to teach me about the evolution of human consciousness, and I asked, what have been some of the biggest markers of consciousness evolution? And as I sat there in meditation, the response I received surprised me. The angels communicated when you began to dance and when you began to tell stories. We angels were there when the first human danced for the first time. We were there when the first story was ever told. These were your biggest moments, because they signified that you were becoming conscious of your soul. You see, in dance and song and story, the human soul rises up from the collective depths of our consciousness, and it speaks. It gets a chance to paint, to lead us, to lead the way. And in dancing, singing, and the telling of stories, the soul expands. It is nourished. It discovers itself. And this is very important because this is the entire point of spiritual awakening, to discover ourselves, to come to know who and what we truly are. Now, I don't mean self-discovery in the sense that you're getting to know your identity, your individual personality. And that, the ego, no, I don't mean that that's where you find truth. The truth is deeper. The true self is the bedrock upon which the rest of selfhood is planted. Sure, there's value, definitely, in discovering the individual self and getting to know yourself. And the reason why is because in doing so, this allows us to follow an inner pathway that leads deeper into the psyche, into the eternal self. The self that some might say is no self at all, but rather pure being, pure God self. Stories are journeys along this inner pathway, that inner trail of breadcrumbs strewn with star stuff. Stories are medicine for the soul, because when we get caught up in the ego, when we become lost in attachments to pain or judgments born of fear, or when we become bitter or numb or jaded in the face of life's seeming obstacles, stories are a lifeblood that calls all of the fragments of your soul back to the present moment and then fuses them back together again. And stories are medicine, whether you are the storyteller or the story listener. To listen to someone's story is to be like a passenger on their spiritual journey. And in this way, we learn what they learn. We go where they go. We feel what they feel. We grow and transform with them. We transform as if we had lived these experiences, and yet the story doesn't require you to act, to do. It merely requires you to listen. Isn't that magical? Now, to tell your story is actually to perform a soul retrieval of sorts. Now, when the pain of living becomes so much that someone has perhaps lost their hope, lost their inspiration, or lost their love of living, then to tell your story, not just once, but perhaps again and again, is to walk the inner pathway and retrace your steps. Along the way, you'll find the little pieces of you that had seemed to become fragmented in the face of pain or fear. You'll see where those fragments had fallen off and why. And with each telling of your story, you pick up those fragments and guide yourself into becoming whole again. I once heard it said that you'll know when you have healed, when you can tell your story without the pain rising in it anymore. In other words, once you have purged the pain through the telling, you will have released all that kept your soul in fragments. You see, your natural state is wholeness and also unity with God, with love. So once you release the fears that had once held you in disparate parts, then, like a powerful magnet, you'll naturally draw yourself back into oneness. You'll recall your wholeness, your truth, which is your unity with love, with Source, with God. The angels often lead us to stories when we need them the most in our lives. And they do this to remind us of who we are. They'll nudge those stories on our path as a way of delivering messages that are detailed and in-depth and full of transformational magic. In fact, you can actually tell what your soul is opening to, what it is learning, what it is working on your path, by the kinds of stories that you are drawn to the most. Now, for me, my favorite stories are love stories. I'm so drawn to stories about love and family, and they almost never cease to enthrall me. Think about your favorite types of stories. Do you like stories about adventure, overcoming the odds, solving mysteries, finding romance, claiming freedom? What are your favorites? They will tell you what medicine your soul is seeking, what makes you thrive, what is delivering you the answers. All stories have the power to serve a spiritual purpose. So, how are the stories that you love serving you? Now, the angels similarly guide us when we are destined to tell our story. If it serves a healing or strengthening or inspiring purpose, perhaps both for you on your spiritual path and perhaps also for others too, then you will be filled with a passionate desire to tell your story. Sometimes you might tell it through a fantastical fiction that expresses your soul's journey in just the way that captures your inner spark of inspiration the most. Sometimes you'll tell it through a song, or a poem, or a painting, or a dance, or a sculpture. Sometimes you'll tell it to your best friend over a long fireside chat. Or maybe you'll tell it to your therapist, And the angels will be there, nudging that inspiration to tell, holding space for courage around you so that you may fulfill this purpose. The angels want you to know that if you feel called to tell your story, this is a sacred calling. Do not ignore it. Instead, follow that inner nudge. In doing so, you'll be fulfilling a deeper spiritual purpose. And perhaps in the telling, you'll discover what that purpose is. You see, according to the angels, each time we tell stories, we are essentially summoning up a kind of spiritual mirror. This mirror reflects what is deep within our consciousness. It reflects the universal archetypes of the psyche, or rather the shared themes and experiences of the human journey. These themes repeat over and over and over and over again in every human being, and they reveal that we are all the same, we are all one, and can map out the way from one archetypal state of being into truth. All paths lead back to truth. This is really why there are no new stories, but rather just ancient ones that are recycled over and over and over again with new clothing on them. Each story is the journey of consciousness on the path of awakening to discover both our origin and our destiny. And we discover that in one place, in the same place, in one truth, in the truth that is love. So, I would like to tell you a story today, a story that's actually very old. I've always been drawn to the oldest stories from as long as I can remember. They always seem to have kind of sparkled with some sense of magic, right? So when I asked the angels what story I should tell you to show you the spiritual journey of stories, this is the one that they immediately suggested. And once I read that story, though I had, of course, heard it many times before, I realized that this was indeed the perfect story to tell today, because it's a tale of one of the most universal human archetypes. The archetype of the journey of the wounded healer. We are all wounded healers. We all come into this world and take on what we could say is perhaps the universal human wound, the ego, or the consciousness of being separate. And then we all journey as wounded healers through this life, healing the psyche, healing the consciousness, seeing through the illusion of that separation, dissolving fear as we face it piece by piece, working to return to love, unity, back to our origin, which is also, again, our destiny. And the story I'm going to tell you today is the fairy tale of the 12 dancing princesses. So let's go. Once upon a time, there was an old soldier who had been wounded in battle, and he could fight no longer. And we have all been this soldier before. We have all been wounded in life at one time or another. Have you ever gone down a path that you had pinned so many expectations on before, perhaps only to struggle or to suffer, to the point that you could not walk that path any longer? Has life ever picked you up off of one expected trajectory only to set you down somewhere else, somewhere unfamiliar? Well, the old soldier was on just such a journey. He was traveling in a foreign land. And as he traveled through this strange land, he heard rumors, whisperings of a mystery that had all the people wondering and talking. He heard that the king in this land had 12 beautiful daughters. They slept in 12 beds in one room, and each night the door to their room was locked up tight. But every morning, their shoes were found to be worn through, as if they had been dancing all night long. No one could find out where they went or how this could have possibly happened. So the king made it known throughout the land that if someone could discover the secret, he would be permitted to marry the princess of his choosing and would be the king after his death. But whoever tried and did not succeed after 3 days and 3 nights would be put to death. So the rumors went that many had tried, but all fell asleep each night on their watch, never discovering the secret, only to be put to death after the trial. As it happened, one day the soldier was traveling through the deep, dark woods in this land, and he came upon an old woman who asked him where he was going. Now, whenever an old woman appears in a fairy tale, you always know that divine guidance has stepped in. But the old woman, the wise old guide, she does not come into your story to tell you all the answers directly and thus take away the adventure ahead. Nor does she show up at the beginning of the story and escort you all the way to the end of it. She usually shows up in the deep, dark woods. She shows up when you're on the unfamiliar path, through the dark places in consciousness, the unknown, the uncertain, the shaky places. The old woman is wise, so she would never take away the adventure of the journey. Divine guidance never appears in such a way that it derails your soul's intention to learn, to discover, and to transform through the experiences of the journey that you are on. The wise old woman knows that if she were to tell you the answers, you probably wouldn't listen or appreciate them. You might not believe her. You might hear those answers, but they might not transform you in the way that only the journey, only the adventure can. So the wise old woman, she asked the wounded soldier, who looked a bit lost and listless, "Where are you going?" The soldier stopped and replied, "I hardly know where I'm going, or what I should do with my life. But I have heard tell of the king's daughters. I might like to find out where they dance. If I succeed, I become king. If I fail, I'll die. Either way, it will put an end to my purposelessness, my wandering." So the old woman, with a knowing sparkle in her eye, she said, "This is not so difficult a challenge as you might think. Just don't drink the wine that the princesses will bring you in the evening. And before they leave you, pretend to fall asleep." Then the old woman gave the soldier a magical cloak and said, "As soon as you put this on, you will become invisible, and you will be able to follow the princesses wherever they go." Perhaps you have met a wise old woman on your journey at some point too. Someone or something that challenged you to a quest. Something that pushed you to walk a new path. To ask the important question, where am I going? Why am I doing this? Perhaps guiding you to achieve something new, to discover something about yourself with just a little hint of wisdom to see you along your way. Well, the soldier was lucky that he had such an encounter. He decided that he would do it. He went to the king and was received as all of the other people before him had been. He was given beautiful clothing and invited to partake in a rich, delicious feast. And when the evening came to an end, he was led up to the wing of the castle where the princesses slept, and he was given a key. He was to sleep in the outer chamber, just outside the bedroom where the princesses slept. He locked up the outer chamber, slipped the key around his neck, and the princesses brought him a cup of wine. He pretended to drink it, then laid himself down and began to snore loudly as if he had fallen asleep. The princesses thought that they had tricked him. So one by one, they slipped out of the sleeping chamber and into that outer chamber room. This is where they kept their chests full of clothes and jewelry. They heard the soldiers snoring, and they laughed as they took out their finest dresses and brand new silk slippers, and they dressed excitedly for the dance. So many before this soldier had been easily enthralled by the beautiful gifts of the new clothing, the delicious feast, the wine. So it was easy for them to believe that he had fallen asleep, just like all of the others. This fate is a common one. You see, all too often in this world that we live in, there are sparkling distractions that can pull us off our path. Perhaps they are material possessions, or perhaps the ego becomes drunk on feeling so important as to be dressed up in royal clothes and to dine at the same table with the important people. And the thing about falling into such distractions is that they really do make us fall asleep. They become like a numbing onslaught that dulls the senses and puts our conscious mind and our spirit to sleep. The things that tempt the human ego do just that. They pull us off our spiritual mission. They can lull us into a false comfort. And we soon fall asleep under their spell and forget our direction. But the wounded soldier was different, because he had been visited by divine guidance. He had been counseled by the wise old woman. Wise old women are good at recognizing wounded soldiers, good at recognizing those who are ready to heal, ready for a transformation. Now all of the princesses except one were blissfully unaware as they readied themselves to leave. The youngest princess, she had a strange feeling. She said, "I don't know what it is, but I have a strange feeling that something not so good will befall us tonight." "Don't be stupid," said the older sisters. "We've tricked the sons of kings. Do you really think this mere soldier will do any better? I bet he would have fallen asleep even if we hadn't slipped that sleeping draught into his wine." So they continued getting ready, and once the princesses were ready to go, they opened a secret trap door in the floor of the outer chamber. Now it glowed with a strange light, and the faintest echoes of music drifted upwards on a breeze coming up through the ground. And one by one, down through the trap door they went. At the last moment, the soldier whisked the cloak of invisibility on and went down after them. Down the staircase, the 12 princesses went. Now, anytime you descend in a story into an unknown realm, this is usually an entrance into the subconscious mind, perhaps into the spirit world. into a realm that is rich with the wild things. As a subconscious mind is, it's the borderland between your conscious mind, the individual part of you, and the collective consciousness, the spirit world. And it's no accident, by the way, that the number of princesses descending the staircase into the spirit world were 12. You see, in Jungian psychology, there are thought to be 12 archetypes of the human psyche. Or in astrology, there are 12 zodiac signs that similarly express archetypal traits of the psyche. There are 12 months in 1 year. There are 12 apostles in the New Testament of the Bible. There are 12 Olympian gods in Greek pantheon. This number 12, it shows up all over the place, wherever people are searching for meaning. The 12 princesses are the 12 main archetypes of the psyche, 12 personalities or 12 different states of being that we might encounter on the human journey, descending down into the spirit world to discover its treasures and to dance in them. As they reached the end of the staircase, they found themselves outside in a forest. The first grove of trees all had sparkling silver leaves. The soldier snapped off a branch and he tucked it into the pocket of his cloak. And the youngest princess thought she heard something. That uneasy feeling grew, that intuition that said something is not the way it's supposed to be. But they continued into the next grove with trees of golden leaves. And once again, the soldier snapped off a branch, whisking it into his pocket. The youngest sister, hearing this once again, feeling that unease growing, that intuition that something different was afoot, some change was on the horizon. The last grove of trees was filled with diamond leaves. And of course, again, the soldier snapped off a little twig, stuffing it into his coat pocket. And the youngest princess trailed after her sisters. That feeling of unease, that feeling of being watched all around her. Because there's always a part of the psyche that knows, that cannot be separated from the truth. A part that will always feel it. And by the way, usually it is the inner child, the youngest part of us. The innocent, fresh, new part of us. The part that is eternally young and new. We all have that inner child part. Well, the soldier went on collecting those subconscious treasures from the deep part of the mind. His coat pocket now sparkling with them. And next, they came to a lake where the 12 princesses got into 12 boats with 12 handsome princesses. The soldier hopped into the boat with the youngest princess and crossed the lake, where they found a beautiful, beautiful party. Beautiful music. A sparkling, illuminated castle in the distance. A feast. And the princesses danced and danced and danced until 3 o'clock in the morning. Until all of their shoes were worn out. So they were obliged to leave off by that point. The princes rowed them back again over the lake. And then on the opposite shore, they left the princess behind, promising to come again the next night. When they came to the stairs, the soldier ran up ahead before the princesses and laid himself down. And as the 12 sisters slowly trailed up the stairs, so tired, they heard him snoring. And they said, "All is well." They put away their fine clothes, pulled off their shoes, and they went to bed. In the morning, the soldier said nothing about what had happened, but determined to see a little bit more of this strange world. And so he went again the second night and the third night, and everything happened just the same as before. The princesses danced each time until their shoes were worn to pieces, and then they returned home. However, on the third night, the soldier carried back one of the golden cups from the feast at the party. As soon as the time came, he went before the king and showed him the 3 branches, one with silver leaves, one with gold, one with diamonds, and also the golden cup from the feast. And the 12 princesses stood listening behind the door to hear what he would say. The king asked the soldiers, "Where do my 12 daughters dance at night?" He answered, "With 12 princes in a castle under the ground in a new world." And then he told the king all that had happened and showed him the 3 branches, the golden cup. The king called for the princesses and asked them whether what the soldier said was true. And when they saw that they were discovered and that it was really of no use to deny what had happened, they confessed it all. The king asked the soldier which of them he would choose for his wife. And he answered, "I'm not so very young, so I will have the eldest." And they were married that very day. And the soldier was chosen to be the king's heir. On this journey of the wounded healer, the wounded one is brought back to life, finds treasures of inspiration under the ground, deep within the soul, deep within the psyche, following the stories of each of the 12 archetypes, each of the 12 princesses who represent a different part of the human story, life's path. And he returned. He returned with treasure that transformed him. No longer was he a wounded soldier, but now a man who would become king. A man who had befriended, by the way, the divine feminine, the mysterious, the unknown. And out of that experience gained power. For to become king, this symbolizes stepping into your power. He found it by going within, by following the unknown, and finding the universal treasures deep, deep down. Stories are spiritual journeys. They are the part of us that has the power to peer into the universal human journey and to find bits of truth that will allow us to glimpse our origin and our destiny. So I hope that you will be aware as you live your story and honor it well and tell it when you feel guided to tell it. In honor of this, let's do a meditation together now where we will allow the angels to lead us into our own deeper psyche, to see whatever piece of our story is coming forward for our attention the most in this moment. We'll find what there is to learn there. So go ahead and take a moment to get nice and comfortable and relaxed. Taking a few deep breaths. And as you are resting and relaxing, allow your body and your mind to gently begin to slip into a state of stillness. Notice the gentle beating of your heart, slow and restful, with the gentle rise and fall of your breaths. Each gentle heartbeat sends signals throughout your physical body to let go of any tension and to melt, surrender into the beauty of this present moment. Breathe deeply and allow your consciousness to simply expand out. Allow every drop of your consciousness to now be surrounded with a gentle blanket of light. Light that dissolves away any heaviness, any past tension, any effort, and reveals the quiet space stretching out between each particle of thought and feeling. Allow that spaciousness to rise, blanketing your consciousness with pure being, pure I amness. A circle of angels and spiritual guides appear around you, blanketing you in a beautiful indigo blue and sparkling silver light. Breathe that beautiful indigo and silver light in. It flows down through the top of your head at your crown chakra, cascading through your third eye at the center of your forehead. And then it spirals down your spine, flowing through each energy center along the way. Gazing down at this beautiful spiral that flows around your spine and into the earth, allow yourself to see a staircase appearing in the spiral of light. With your next deep, healing breath, begin to descend the staircase. Listen to my voice counting back from 10 as you walk down the staircase. 9, growing more relaxed and at ease with each step you take. 8, feeling light and almost as if you are floating. 7. Allowing yourself to drift into a deep state, almost like lucid dreaming. 6. You're nearing about the halfway mark down the staircase now. 5. You can see that there is a light at the very bottom of the staircase, and you are floating down. 4. Heading down the staircase of light towards that light at the bottom. 3. Feeling a sense of familiarity beckoning you down to this new realm. 2. You begin to feel so good as you descend the final steps. And 1. You have now reached the bottom of the staircase, and you are stepping into a realm that is now to show you an important piece of your own human story. Allow your angels and your spirit guides to lead you, to show you this part of your story now. With all that you witness here in this realm, hold a state of compassion and kindness, judging nothing, but simply witnessing. The angels are now delivering a message to you. A message of truth. A teaching to aid you along the way in your healing and in your awakening. Listen for the message and receive it well. The angels are placing the wisdom of their message and healing to you in the center of your heart, like a jewel, a gift. Breathe the gift in, feeling as it illuminates you from the inside out, light shining from your heart, illuminating your shoulder blades as light erupts from your back like wings, wings that lift you upwards, carry the wisdom of this moment with you as the angels escort you back up the staircase. Take this piece of your story. Take this healing seed and bring it into your life. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. You have now floated up to the very top of the staircase. The angels at your side. The angels are now wrapping you from head to toe in illuminating white light. As you gaze through the white light, you can see your path ahead, your life's path, all of the lessons that you have attracted, all of your hopes and your dreams. Feel the angels' wisdom within you. Feel the guidance that they have given you. You will know exactly where and when to plant the healing seed that you have been given. The angels now gather in a circle of light around you one more time, channeling pure love, pure strength into your body, mind, and spirit. Feel this beautiful sacred cocoon. Breathe in the safety, love, light, and joy of living. And keeping the angels ever close, we'll take in one more deep, beautifully healing breath. And then on your next exhale, slowly and gently you may open your eyes. And take in a few deep breaths. And come back into the room, into the present moment. Thank you. Thank you for journeying with me and the angels into your spirit. The angels are communicating that anytime you need any guidance whatsoever, you can always find it from within you, because you are always connected to the Creator and directly to them as well, to the angels. And if you need to discover more related to the messages that you received with the angels, then go ahead. Go back down the staircase. Go back into that realm with the angels once again, perhaps tonight before you fall asleep, and hear whatever it is that they'll share with you. Speaking of divine guidance, we are now going to go in and receive a little bit of divine guidance together by taking your reading requests. So let's go straight to our reading requests now and see who has submitted a question for us. Okay, so our first question is from Mona. Mona says, "Dear Sarah, as a PTSD survivor, I have a long story of struggle and pain, but also strength, courage, and love. I'd really like to know where my road will take me further, and if the angels have any advice to rise and shine my light." Thank you so much, Mona. Thank you so much for sharing this question. So first of all, let's go ahead and tune into you really quickly. I am feeling a nice circle of angels around you. I feel 4 angels around you. I'm also seeing a lot of white and silvery colored light. Now, whenever we see this light around someone, it's a representation of renewal and purification. So the angels are showing us that there is great purification, that you're constantly being fed from the spirit world. And as I'm tuning in, I'm actually feeling 3 angels that are really, really strong specifically, who are kind of stepping forward out of this group, out of this beautiful white light that I'm seeing around you. I see Archangel Haniel, the angel of joy, Archangel Jophiel, the angel of beauty, and Archangel Michael is here as well. Okay, and the last one coming forward, Archangel Gabriel. Beautiful. So right away, to see the first 2 angels being Haniel, the angel of joy, and Jophiel, the angel of beauty, this is telling me right away that beauty and joy and love, purity, these are the things that you really are. Your angels have been working to teach you from behind the scenes that you aren't a victim. That though you have experienced struggle and pain, and they would never minimize that, but only honor you through this experience, of course, support you and love you through it. That though you have experienced all these things, they are not the sum total of your identity. Who you really are, they are communicating, is someone who is infinite. Someone who cannot be contained because you are so pure, so purely connected to the light. So with regard to where your road will take you, when I ask the angels this question, when I'm putting that question to them right now, Jophiel, the angel of beauty, is the one who is answering. And she says, follow what is beautiful to you. Follow your bliss, follow your joy, follow what makes you feel good. You have the power to choose this, and when you follow these things, even if they're simple things, little things, even if they're just tiny little instances of peace, like a warm cup of tea or something like that, just a one quiet moment, follow where that joy, where those feelings of beauty and connection will take you. And the angels want you to know that they're going to be planting, they're saying, a whole garden of joy and beauty and peace all around you, so that now your soul gets to expand in a new direction. It gets to show you this most important, beautiful part of your nature, which is eternal purity, love, bliss, potential, creativity. There's beautiful creativity in you, Mona. And you've got all of these angels around you right now saying that they're going to be helping you with your creativity. So if you're feeling guided to create anything, or even to just simply surround yourself with beautiful creations, go ahead and take those action steps. See where they lead you. See what inspiration comes of these things. Because it's in doing these things, the angels are showing us that you'll find some really, really exciting, special new opportunities on your path. So yes, you are strong, you are the survivor. But this can never limit who you are. This is never only what you are. The victim is not a container that you live inside. You are infinite potential. You are pure love. And basically the path ahead is here to show you that. But the angels are saying you'll still have to take those brave little baby steps, putting the left foot in front of the right foot. And again, following, being brave enough to follow what really, really brings you to life. Thank you so much again, Mona, for sharing your question. I think that that's a really great question. It really fits in well with today. So let's now go to Elena. Elena's question is, she says, thank you for this life-changing show. Oh, thank you so much, Elena. That makes my heart feel so happy. She says that she would love a general reading and maybe some guidance when it comes to her mother. Thank you so much, Elena. Let's go ahead and tune in. All right, Archangel Gabriel once more is coming forward as our strongest guide. And Gabriel is the angel of communication, but also the angel who watches over relationships between parents and children. So let's go ahead and see. Okay, this is interesting. When Gabriel shows us an image of your mother, she's showing me a few different things. She's showing us a shell around your mom's energy field, almost like an eggshell, right? To where, have you ever seen people do this where they'll try to smash an eggshell or an egg, and if you hit it the right way, it can withstand all of this pressure. It's because of the way that it's shaped. It has an incredibly strong shape to it. So even though that shell is really, thin, and, if you squeezed it a different way, it will break open, it still has this incredible potential to be very strong, to withstand incredible pressure. This is the symbol that the angels are placing around your mom. And they're showing us that she has built this hardened shell around her. But at the same time, it's not a thick shell. So she's still a sensitive person. She has her guard up around her, is what I'm feeling about this. She has certain things where maybe she's become set in her ways, in certain ways. Maybe she stays within her own mode of thinking, her own little comfort zone, and she maybe has a little stubborn side where she doesn't want to tread too far outside of that comfort zone all the time, right? But she's still sensitive. She still has a lot of empathy. She still thinks about you, thinks about the people that she loves. And even if you don't always see it through the shell that's around her energy field, she loves and cares very, very, very deeply. They're showing us that where you might find conflict, but also the opportunity for big forgiveness and closer understanding, acceptance, equanimity, and peace in this relationship, is coming to a point in your perspective of your mother, essentially, where you might begin to be compassionate with the fact that she has certain attachments. The angels are showing us that throughout your mother's life, there have been certain things that have made her feel safe along the way. Whether it was a relationship or a family situation or a job or a home or whatever it might be. Her comfort zone is also her safety zone, and she is attached to it. And these attachments are the part of her that makes it sometimes difficult for her to see the real you or the changing you. She's attached to certain versions of you that existed before that you might not even see on the surface right now. Maybe you don't remember them. Maybe you were too little. And she's attached to the way that it felt to be your mother when you were very, very tiny. Attached to some feeling back then. Part of her, yes, is wise enough to see that there is the real you right here and now, the new you, the present, current you. But she sees it as if through a tiny chink in a wall. She's built up a wall of all of these other attachments that she's had, of all of the people that she's seen you to be in the past, of all of the things that she has included in her comfort zone, all of the beliefs that she has held, that she has attached to for so long. So the angels are saying that it's not your job to change her, to fix her, to make her see differently, to be differently. It's only your job to love her. It's only your job to stand in acceptance, equanimity, and love. And when boundaries are necessary, yes, allow the boundaries to be there as you love. But don't let yourself get too caught up in the limitations that you seem to perceive within her. There's no need to analyze them or to judge them. Instead, Gabriel's inviting you to call upon her, call upon Archangel Gabriel, and ask for the higher perspective. Ask for the strength and the discipline, too, because it takes discipline to be able to witness and accept your mother with compassion knowing that, yes, there may be, these flaws. She might have her self-defense is up, her attachment to her certain ways, her comfort zone, these expectations that she has of you or of other people. There may be these things, even things that might not seem healthy all the time, that might not seem good, that might not seem favorable. But it's not your spiritual path to learn or change these things for her. Again, it's only your path to find peace and to offer love no matter the situation that you see before you. Archangel Gabriel is handing you a beautiful, beautiful pink light, and she's wrapping you in this pink light right now. And pink is a nurturing color. It's emotional and nurturing. It's deep, deep nourishment that basically gives our heart exactly what it is that we need. So go ahead and breathe that light in right now. And everybody also who is listening, I want you to go ahead and visualize that beautiful pink light and envision the angels sending it to you. Breathe that pink light, allowing it to flow straight into the very center of your heart chakra, providing you with exactly the essence of what it is that you need the most right now in this moment. Giving yourself permission to let go of any burdens, any tension, and giving yourself permission to be in your natural state, which is at peace. At peace. And I know that there are many others who have asked questions today, but for all of you, I want you to know that I'm sending you prayers, and I invite all of you to envision that beautiful, beautiful light around you, and also to pay attention to your story, and certainly even to ask the angels to give you new perspective on your story too. They'll show you exactly where you are meant to go. They'll bring you the exact little spark of life and inspiration that will put you down the right path, the right road that you are meant to go on. So trust in that. Tell your story or ask the angels to lead you to a story that will help you to find that truth. I want to thank you all so much for tuning in today. It's always such an honor to be able to connect with all of you. Do keep in touch, of course, by following me on social media at sarahhall444, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, whatnot. And if you'd like to tune in again for the next live episode of Through the Eyes of the Angels, then you can mark your calendar for Thursday, March 18th, same time, same place. And also, I urge you to also join my email list. I have some exciting announcements coming about pretty soon. New ways that we can connect. I love to be able to connect with each and every one of you. So you can go ahead and do that. If you go on Instagram, by the way, and click the link in my profile, you'll see down in the link tree a little area where you can join my email list. That way I can keep you updated on every opportunity for us to connect, for me to share more angel messages with you, and to see your beautiful spiritual path grow. I'm honored that our paths have crossed. I'm honored that you are with me here right now. And I hope you have a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful rest of your day. Bye.